Education and patience. Oh hey, time to learn new information. Set a foundation where we feel comfortable in communication. Be strong, not just in an occasion. Let's call this the strength operation. Take that into consideration. Here's the equation, strength and knowledge. Saving the nation, that's the potion that we making. Young kids shaking the world with amazing talent. It's mind-blowing how it flows out of us like plow. Look at us now, strong kids, strong sound. You already know how. I go, I flow, I show my strength. It's endless, bro.
Train sequence.
I like the director having this almost a dreamlike vision.
Rufus Buck walking in slow motion, the gunshots around him, the shells dropping, the whole thing is an exercise in swag.
As you notice, there's a little bit more of a graphic novel look to that scene. The flashing, the breathing, just sort of a subjectivity that isn't necessary in the rest of the film. He wanted a little more hyper-stylized shootouts. There's some really wonderful gold flashes, the muzzle flashes that happen, which don't happen in the rest of the film. And I had to talk to the visual effects guy. I go, no, he really wants it for this scene to be a little special.
I wanted it to look as dangerous as possible, but a lot of the gunshots and the flashes were in VFX. And dropping the shells on the floor, and that's, you know, a lot of creative license, because those guns don't have shells that drop, but in my movie, they do.
Conversations with podcast, and today we have an amazing special guest, Jacobi. Hello, how are you today?
Yo, what's going on, my man?
I'm doing awesome. So to start off, who's Jacobi the person? Where is he from?
Jacobi the person is this guy that this guy that grew up in North Carolina, East Charlotte more specifically, and had a passion for the arts, more notably writing, acting, and rap.
What school did you go to?
For high school, I went to Independence High School, and for middle school, I went to North Ridge Middle. And if you trying to go as far back as elementary school, Windsor Park.
What professions do you pursue outside of acting?
Well, outside of acting, of course, there's rap. And I've recently, because of some opportunities that have come my way, decided to, gamble on myself and go full time with the acting aspect of my life. But outside of acting, there's writing and rap.
What inspired you to become an actor?
Wow. Growing up, watching a lot of television, I had a lot of sitcoms that my mother and my father put me on to when I was coming up. I'm from everybody says they're from the golden era of television. But when I was growing up, shows like Family Matters and shows like Hanging with Mr. Cooper and shows like, The Cosby Show and all these A Different World and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like there were so many different shows with actors of color and people that look like me. And I think that inspired me. Not to say that there were other shows that didn't inspire me to want to seek out performing as well, because there were shows like Boy Meets World and Full House and Saved by the Bell and stuff like that. Like television was a big thing for me. So I was always really, really intrigued by the process and how it got done.
What is your history of acting?
My history of acting it dates back to high school, really. I was getting into a lot of trouble in high school, and I was actually on the verge of being expelled. And the principal, who knew my family, decided that he was going to give me just one more chance before he completely kicked me out of his school for good. And so the way he did that was that he changed my entire schedule, put me in all advanced classes, and changed one of my electives to theater. I was in like a drafting class. It was like a bird course, like a bird course means that it was just a course you flew right through. I had the drafting teacher's name was Mr. Fox, and he was well past retirement age. and he was, elderly and slow. And I feel, we took advantage of that class a lot because at the end of the day, all he would do is just write C minuses or C pluses on papers because, I guess he was, he realized that he was, way past his time in the classroom, but, he was in it for the check. But I got changed out of that class real fast and put into a theater class. And thus began my journey in theater and acting and learning about that world, and which led me to audition for the North Carolina School of the Arts down the road once I graduated, and pursue acting and playwriting full time while still writing raps.
Also, in that theater class, do you feel like it helped you with all or just some aspects of acting? Like when you moved on from that theater class, do you feel like you learned a little bit more that they didn't teach you in that theater class?
When I moved on from the theater class, I feel like it equipped me to go to the next level in terms of pursuing acting on a collegiate level. It gave me the knowledge I needed, to get in there. I really didn't have a whole lot to go on. I had no big time theatrical experience. And when I was auditioning for the North Carolina School of the Arts, I had no idea that it was as prestigious a school it was. I had no idea how hard it was to get in. And every time that my mother would tell somebody, oh, he's going to North Carolina School of the Arts, and the father would be like, he got in? And I didn't learn until later that it was so hard to get in. But I think that it equipped me, being in that theater class equipped me in a way that I could navigate through that audition process and get into acting, like I said, on a collegiate level.
Here at Young Informed Media, STEAM building, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, is a major part of what we teach kids about. So what STEAM skills are needed to become a successful actor?
What STEAM skills are needed to become a successful actor? Science, technology, arts, and math. I mean, well, I would say that, science and technology are playing a huge part in the world of acting, given, a lot of things are CGI and done by computers, and a lot of the, there's a mathematical and scientific element to that stuff. So if you're looking at, you're going to need a science and technology and a small mathematical component to do it at that level. I would say what you would probably need most is the arts component, which is an appreciation for it and learning it.
In the movie you starred in called The Harder They Fall, we can see you riding horses in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
What was training to ride these horses like?
They sent us to this thing. When I got out to Santa Fe, New Mexico, they sent us, because that's where it was filmed, Santa Fe, New Mexico, and parts of Colorado. And they sent us to this thing called Cowboy Camp, where we had to learn to, take care of horses, ride horses, spend time, and develop relationships. So it was actually really hard to leave my horse when it was done, because I was using the same horse, from the time I got there to the time I left, and I was in Santa Fe for about, want to say about 10 weeks. So it was, I had to have a relationship with the horse. And the biggest thing I would say to anybody who's ever ridden a horse is to respect the horse. And when I say respect the horse, like you see a horse on television, right? And then you walk up on a horse and you realize how massive and majestic and strong they are. Like, if this animal wanted me dead, I would be. So there's having that, that mutual respect for the animal, and making, earning their respect. Because if they don't want you on them, you're not going to be on them. So that's why you got to, once you're up there, they got to trust you. You got to trust them. It was this whole process that a lot of the ranch hands walked me through. to get ready for that. And then, you know, before I knew it, man, they had me riding like the Lone Ranger, man.
How long did it take you to get into the audition process?
The audition process was a fairly quick turnaround. I had gotten a phone call from somebody on the project who knew of me, and said, yo, we've got a part opening up, because production had been halted because of the pandemic. And then they had a bunch of people that couldn't hold on to their roles because they had other commitments they had to be with. And so I had someone call me and say, yo, I just told the director who you are. Do you have anything that he could look at? So I sent over a reel of my acting. And he's like, and the director goes, well, is he available in 20 minutes to audition for me, like on FaceTime? He said, send him the sides and that kind of thing. So they sent me sides. And sides are what you get in an audition process. They're the lines that they want you to say. So you get like a scene that you have to rehearse and read with the director. And like 20 minutes later, he calls me and I'm like sitting in my car. Now, as you can imagine, I'm stressed out because I get horrible service where I'm at. Like we're dealing with right now. So I'm like, I do not want this audition to cut out. I do not want this audition to break up. You know what I mean? I don't want to frustrate him. So I'm like trying to find a spot. My son's in the house. I knew that would be a distraction. So I like sat in the car and I did my audition for that movie in my car. Cowboy accent and everything, and he was impressed and called me a couple of days later and said, pack your bags, you're coming to Santa Fe. So that's how that went.
We also see you working a gun a lot in this movie. What was the
Yes.
training process like?
Stringent, detailed. It was safety was the number one priority. I've been trained with weapons, armed and unarmed. I got my stage combat certification some years back, and matter of fact, I need to get it renewed. But I got trained in armed and unarmed combat, so I was familiar with the process of holding a weapon. I had done a play called Tracers, and I'd also done a play called A Soldier's Play. So I had played soldiers before, right? And we had to have weapons training with that. So I was already familiar with my way around a gun, how to hold a gun, keeping a gun, whether it's pointing at the ground or not having your, finger over the trigger, and all of these little different things, telling the difference between live ammo and dummy rounds, all of these sort of things. But it was very stringent. The armory, the production team, everybody played a huge role in handling those guns because, they weren't plastic guns. They were actual guns that were loaded with dummy rounds that were exploding, to create those shots because they didn't want to go in and CGI smoke and bangs and all of that stuff coming out of guns. So we had to be very, very careful. And it was I'm really, really glad because I felt like I was truly, cared for on set.
Tell us a little bit about what it was like working with stuntmen.
Again, it came pretty easy to me, and they were really, really pleased. They were like, "Oh man, Jacobi has got Jacobi can throw a punch. Jacobi can take a fall. Jacobi knows how to, make his punches look like they're landing," because I had the stage combat training, which was a plus in hiring me because they knew they'd want me to do a scene where I'm beating somebody up, where I'm beating a few people up and throwing people on the ground, and how to choreograph that and move that. And the stuntmen felt comfortable teaching me things because I'd already had some experience, and they were amazing. I'm talking about these guys falling off of roofs and jumping through windows and falling off of horses. These guys were amazing.
In the scene where your character blew up, it looked so real. What was that process like?
Getting a die cast, making literally a fake arm that looked like my arm. They it was, setting me up near the carriage pre-explosion, and then moving me, of course, when they blew it up, and then somebody, dropping an arm off a crane and having it land in the spot, dropping an arm from an elevated position, having it land in the spot. It was a whole process, and it was fun, because when you're doing it, it's like, oh my God, how is this gonna work out? But yeah, that was a really cool process, man. I had a blast. It was, watching them do it piece by piece. And I think the most exciting part is being a part of that process and then looking at it in the final product when the movie dropped, going, oh wow, that really worked out well. Because you don't know how it's gonna look until you see it.
What are the challenging things about filming a movie that some people may not see?
The long days, 16-hour days. Monday through Saturday. You wake up, you're on set at 7 a.m. and you're not leaving until 7 p.m. Sometimes you're not leaving until midnight, because they're getting a lot done. If you have to have the stamina, and there's a lot of hurry up and wait. So you do a scene, you say a few lines, they gotta set the camera up somewhere else. You're waiting for them. They're making sure that everything is perfect, and you can tell that they took their time and made sure that everything was great, given the final product. It's seamless. It looks amazing. So yeah, that's the thing about making a movie that people don't understand, that there are long, grueling days where you're just sort of sitting there waiting. And then if you are doing the scene, you're doing it as many times as you can stand it, or as many times as the director wants to see it. And you think the take is perfect. He's like, all right, one more time. And then he might want to have you do it again from a different angle. It takes stamina, and it takes focus and concentration.
What would you say is the least amount of time you've ever been on set?
The least amount of time was when I was doing a couple of indie shorts that I did when I was like in college. And I might have been on set for maybe 3 days, and I might have been on set for maybe 5 or 6 hours. So those were the shorter days. This was like the big boy sort of time on set.
In certain scenes, did you add your own acting to it beyond the director's recommendations?
Well, so there are two schools of thought. One, you do exactly what the script tells you to do, or two, you can do what the script is telling you to do, and maybe you can add a little something to see if the director likes it, but you do that at your own peril. Now, here's the thing. If it's great and he tells you to keep it, then you continue to get that freedom. But if you do it and it's whack and he hates it, you don't get that freedom anymore. So I'm just glad that he ended up liking my choices. The stuff that I was making that might have not been in the script, like when you see me on the train and we're walking to the other car and I buck at the passenger, like that wasn't in the script. But I did that, and he was like, we gotta do that again. We gotta do that again. Let's get another shot of that. He liked it. So if you make a choice that they like and you get to keep it, then you continue to get those freedoms.
Some of those sinister smiles in the movie, were those yours or his?
It was, I would say it was a meeting of the minds. Like that was the way he phrased it. Like, he didn't want anybody to like Angel. So how do I get, and then that's up to the actor to determine what that means. The director can give you, only thing they can give you is direction, but you're the one that has to walk. You're the one that has to go, toward it. So I'm like, well, what does that look like? Without being too big, without trying to outshine or steal the scene. You know what I mean? Because I'm here with Regina King, who is, all hail Queen Goddess of Hollywood. You know what I mean? She's earned a spot. The camera's hers. She owns it. She's amazing. Like, what can I do to just support what she's doing, not outdo her. And I think a lot of actors make that mistake when they're given a little bit of freedoms, is that they make choices that may try to upstage their partner. And that's not the goal. So I would say it was a meeting of the minds, like a halfway point. Like he says, you know, I need more SOB from you. What does that look like? Okay, laughing at somebody when they get shot. That's an SOB thing to do. So that's how that worked out.
The angel had a lot of power in her, so the director was totally wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's next on the amazing journey for Jacobi?
Well, all good, brother. All good. Well, I got something coming up. I can't say too much about it right now, but we're gonna be cooking again real soon. It's Netflix, and I'll be filming overseas. That's all I can say. And I'll be leaving in February to shoot the movie. So
Awesome.
I'll be making an announcement soon though. We're gonna be cooking real soon, y'all. The NGK way. We'll be
Awesome. We can't wait to hear the news. So thank you everyone for watching today's Conversations With episode. Thank you, Jacobi, for letting us interview you. We hope everyone has an amazing day. Goodbye.
Hiya. All right.
I'm hoping the legacy of The Harder They Fall is going to be a little bit eye-opening about what the cowboy meant, you know, and who the cowboy was. And thanks for watching.
Watch The Harder They Fall, now streaming on Netflix.